When it comes to discussing certain NBA players and their games, narratives surrounding their names tend to circulate heavily, whether they're true or not. One or two examples supporting something negative about a player may weigh heavily in people's minds when, in the grand scheme of things, said thing about that player may not be true at all. These myths result in a ton of fake narratives following the players all throughout their careers, which is what I'm here today to clear up. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at several top players in the league today and exposing why popular narratives about them are actually not true at all, making them myths. Hearing these things said on a regular basis by national television analysts, reporters, and even fans on social media can be so tiring and frustrating, and it needs to stop. Before we get started though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first player we're going to take a closer look at is James Harden of the Houston Rockets, and specifically, the myth that he plays no defense or even that he's an awful defender. This myth began about 5 years ago when a compilation on YouTube went viral, showing him falling asleep on defense on several occasions, allowing his man to blow by him for easy baskets. Now, by no means am I defending the clips that were shown, because they were definitely examples of bad defense. But you don't judge players based on the few mistakes they make over an entire season. You judge them based on how they perform for the entirety of a game through all 4 quarters and throughout the entirety of an 82-game season. The fact of the matter is that there's a very good chance that you can make a similar compilation of any NBA player making several mistakes on defense, because the truth is that every NBA player messes up or gets tired every now and then. Now, to show you why this is a myth about Harden, let's take a look at some season-long statistics and analytics that measure certain aspects of defense. For starters, thanks to Synergy, who measure how players rank in terms of their percentile in certain categories, Harden ranks in the 74th percentile in isolation defense, which doesn't put him in elite company by any means, but it does mean that he's better in this regard than 74% of the league, which is at minimum above average. Plus, the area where he really excels is post defense, where he ranked in the 89th percentile. For a guard, you may not think this is significant, but the Rockets run a ton of small ball lineups, and they switch a ton, so Harden actually does find himself defending big men very often on a game-to-game basis. The fact that he ranks near the top of the league in this category has helped the Rockets implement the type of switching play style they've wanted to run, and if he wasn't able to do this, then the team as a whole would probably struggle. Throwing in the fact that last season, Harden actually averaged the most deflections on defense per game in the whole league, and ranked second in the league in steals per game, the idea that people actually believe he's a bad defender is just silly and honestly incorrect. Moving on now to the next myth. This one is regarding LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers in terms of his entire career, and it's the idea that he isn't clutch. This myth originated from well-known LeBron hater Skip Bayless, and fans of other all-time greats such as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant have run with it still to this day. This one is silly for several reasons, but the most obvious thing that debunks this is the fact that he's hit countless game winners. Like, throughout the course of his entire career, he's hit so many game winners and buzzer beaters that just make this statement sound ignorant, yet still to this day, the notion gets repeated by countless people. LeBron has hit so many clutch shots that he actually holds the record for most game-winning shots in NBA playoff history. Think about that for a second. LeBron James has hit more game-winning shots in the playoffs than any other player that has ever stepped foot in the NBA, yet people still have the audacity to say he's not a clutch player, or that he doesn't have the it factor that other greats have to take over a game. Even comparing him to two guys that are universally seen as very clutch, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, when shooting either a game-tying or go-ahead shot in the last 10 seconds of a playoff game, LeBron shoots 12 of 23, Jordan shoots 7 of 15, and Kobe shoots 5 of 22. The numbers honestly speak for themselves, and disputing that basically just comes down to ignorance. Now, there definitely have been times when LeBron may have passed up a shot at the end of a close game, but the kind of player that LeBron is that he's always looking to make the right play, and sometimes if a teammate has a better look at a shot, he's going to pass it to them. It has nothing to do with him being afraid of the moment, and everything to do with the fact that he trusts his teammates immensely and doesn't want to force a bad shot just because he's expected to. The next myth that we're going to be debunking involves Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets, with the narrative being that he's a big-time stat padder. The origin of this one obviously comes from the fact that Westbrook has averaged a triple-double over the course of an entire season for 3 straight years now, and the ways in which he goes about securing his rebounds have been heavily scrutinized. Most people see what he's doing and think that he does this because he's obsessed with his own numbers and is to an extent pretty selfish. The way the Thunder often set themselves up over the last few years in order to help Westbrook accomplish these kind of numbers is that the big men near the basket would seemingly work hard to box out the other bigs from going for rebounds, but not necessarily attempting to grab the rebounds themselves, allowing Westbrook to chase the rebound down himself. To the naked eye, yes, this does seem pretty strange and numbers obsessed, but the Thunder actually had a very valid reason for doing this, and it actually put not only Russ, but the entire team at its best when this happened. Allowing Westbrook to grab the rebound allows him to instantly push the pace, putting pressure on the defense immediately, and creating some easy baskets in transition. Westbrook's combination of top-tier speed and insane athleticism makes him extremely difficult to stop out in open space, and by allowing him to grab the rebounds, it opens up more of these opportunities each game. Sure, to some extent he is boosting his rebounding numbers, but the reasoning for why it happened was actually to help the team, because the Thunder benefited greatly from these possessions, and the numbers back that up. Moving on now to the next myth. This one involves Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers, with the narrative being that because he doesn't shoot jump shots, he holds the team back, and another part that adds on to this is that many people think that he doesn't fit with Joel Embiid because of it. This take is incredibly lazy for many obvious reasons as well, but to start off, Ben Simmons is an all-star and a top 5 player at his position already. Looking into the numbers that measure how the team performs in certain scenarios, overall, the 76ers as a team had a net rating of 2.6 last year, meaning they outscored opponents by an average of 2.6 points per 100 possessions. When Simmons and Embiid shared the court, they had a net rating of 7.6, meaning the team basically outscored opponents by triple the amount of points when these two were on the court together. There have been countless articles and stories where people have said that both Simmons and Embiid would be better off separated from one another, but the fact of the matter is that the team is actually at its very best when they share the court. These are two generational young talents and will be pillars of the Sixers for years to come, and thinking they need to be broken up is just overthinking it. Up next, the final myth we'll be busting in today's video involves Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, being that he's seen by many as a choker in the NBA Finals. This narrative comes from the fact that, despite the Warriors dominating the NBA for the last 5 years, he still has no Finals MVPs to his name, and in a few games, he has admittedly not played very well. Now, being the superstar and all-time great player that he is, the fact that he has 3 rings without a single Finals MVP obviously isn't a great look. However, the rate at which Steph has produced in the Finals over the years is incredibly underrated, to the point where I don't think many fans actually realize some of the numbers that he's put up. In his NBA Finals career, Curry averages 26.4 points, 6 assists, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.5 steals per game while shooting the ball 42% from the field. For comparison to a legend with multiple rings and Finals MVPs, Kobe Bryant, Kobe averaged 25.3 points, 5.1 assists, 5.7 rebounds, 1.8 steals, and shot 41% from the field in his NBA Finals career. Now, with more context, I obviously don't believe that Curry is a better player in the Finals than Kobe, but what I am saying is that the notion that Curry's a choker on the big stage is also not true. He He may not produce at the same level as he does in prior rounds or even in the regular season when it comes to efficiency, but he is still a very good player that helped lead one of the best dynasties ever. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below whether you would want a part 2 of this video involving more myths about other NBA players. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.